Now, the other thing that you've been doing, which has really, I was amazed. We caught up for lunch before Christmas, and you showed me this, and I was flabbergasted. Was Instagram. Now, I have 3 daughters, so I know Instagram. You know, it is the social net. Facebook was genius buying it because it's the social network of a completely different generation to the people who are on Facebook. But I didn't think, I honestly did not think that it would be a useful tribe building marketing tool or anything like that. So explain to people just how wrong I have been about this. And give us a bit of your background, because you told me the numbers, because it's quite extraordinary.
Okay, so long story short, I built Founder up to be able to leave my job, replace my income. We were going okay.
Can I ask you about, just before we go on to the Instagram, because I didn't mean to ask you that. You had did you have a figure in mind that if I get to this amount a month, then I'm going to hand in my resignation? Is that how that went?
Yep.
How did you feel when it hit that amount?
Oh, I was super excited, but at the same time super scared. I second guessed myself so often. I had to have the CEO of the company that I worked for tell me that it was time for me to move on, and if I don't leave now, my job will always be there for me. How much more validation do you need?
Yeah, wow.
Because I was so scared. Because you have this security. It's just planted in your mind by society.
Yeah. And what was the first month like? Being literally having to get yourself out of bed. What changes? Are there any tips that you'd pass on about that transition?
Yeah, it's really hard. I found it extremely difficult because I was used to thrashing from 7 p.m. onwards till about 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And for the first month, I could only be productive from 7 to 1 p.m. So it took me quite a while to readjust. And, when I wake up, I can just work.
Yeah.
Just time, I guess. Just time. Just be patient. I think that's the best piece of advice when you're transitioning.
Yeah, very good. So back to this Instagram thing. Give us the background of it, the history. Tell us the story.
Yeah, so I left my job. That's about 7-8 months ago now, and things were going okay with the magazine, but I wasn't getting rapid growth. We were kind of stagnant, not too stagnant, but it was growing, but too slow. I just left my job and I wanted to grow faster. That was the plan. And long story short, about 4 months before I left my job, a reader of the Founder, contacted me and said, "Hey, I've got an opportunity for you on Instagram. I have a 20,000 Instagram page, 20,000 followers Instagram page. I can promote Founder like a cover, and I can get you more readers." And I said, "Oh, okay, I'll give it a try." So I paid him $30, and he shouted out the magazine, but it didn't work. And the core lesson there was, with Instagram, you can only have one clickable link, and that's in your page's profile's bio. And we were trying to push to a non-clickable link, we posted the photo, then we just had as the caption for the photo, go to foundermag.com/iTunes or /Android. And nobody did that. If people can't click, you have to make things as easy as possible for people.
Yep.
What we should have done in retrospect was post the cover, but then push people to follow our Founder magazine page, and then we capture them by their following us, and they re-engage with our content, then eventually click on the link and off they go. So that was a fail. So I threw Instagram down the window. but then I was looking at hiring an intern to help me with some stuff, and I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to just get him to manage our Instagram. So I went on our Instagram page. We were at 500 followers. I hadn't posted in a year or something, and I did a couple of posts, and then I saw out in our Google Analytics our sales spiked. And I was like, oh, what's going on here? And then for a few days, I just kept posting, and I just kept seeing every time I post a spike in our sales. So I'm like, okay, well, what I'm going to do is I spoke to that guy, and I looked at that guy, because that guy, the reader of the magazine that had that Instagram page, it turned out he was from Melbourne. And as you do, like everything that I do that I approach, I try and find people that know something or a lot more than me about a certain thing. So I caught up with him and I said, let's catch up, because when I saw his page again about 5 months later, it was at like 80,000 followers. So I'm like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. I've got to catch up, find out what he knows and learn from him and help him however I can. And long story short, it led me down this path to rapidly grow our Instagram page from 0 to now we're at almost 75,000 followers in about 15 weeks, and it's been a massive channel.
You were just about to hit 50,000 at Christmas, so that's unbelievable. So it's growing even faster.
So we're getting about anywhere between 500 to 1,000 followers a day, and it's been a massive, massive channel for the magazine. And the reason why that is because it was like it's like the dream customer acquisition channel if you have an app and you're targeting young people. Like, founders targeting young people. It's about business. So the kind of content we post is like motivational quotes, startup quotes, facts and stuff. And what makes it so awesome is people only access Instagram on their phones. You cannot post unless you're on your mobile device. You can view content on your tablet, but Instagram don't even have a proper app for tablets. You have to use the iPhone version, and you cannot post content. So you can only view content on your computer or your iPad. So on your phone, you have to post content. So everyone looks at Instagram on their phone. So if somebody finds something related to like business related, and they find our stuff, then more likely than not, they just click through and they go straight to the Apple landing page. So they don't even have to, jump any hoops. They just go straight to our iTunes landing page, and then they see,
so just to clarify for people who don't understand what you're saying there, so your actual link, that one link that you're allowed in your profile, is actually a direct link to the page on the App Store which has your app, so they can download straight. There's a gold tip right there.
So I've made it as simple as possible for them to jump to go through our funnel and what have you. And that's been a game. Instagram's been a game changer for us.
I often see this. I've got 100,000 followers. I've got 50,000 followers. I'm just jealous because I think I've got 1,000 followers on Instagram because I only post pictures of Larry. But we were talking about email lists, and you were saying you weren't building email. So give us one practical example of, because you're building your Instagram list at this pace, let's take it through, because it's not just your ego boost that you've got 70,000 likes. You're translating this into significant stuff and sales. Give us one example. Maybe the email example would be awesome.
Yeah, sure. So I was pretty much everyone's asking me how I'm doing this, so I created a course. And part of creating that course, I wanted to show people what was possible for Instagram. So I ran a test. I pushed people to a landing page. So instead of pushing them to the Apple our app page. Instead of pushing them to that, because Apple can't track it for us, I just want to prove to people how powerful this channel is. So I had a landing page. I set up a totally new segmented list, and I'm getting anywhere between now, like in the past week since I've been running this test, I've had close to 1,000 opt-ins just from this Instagram, and I'm only getting warmed up, Ed.
How much? Sorry, just for those following along at home, how much does it cost you per lead to build that list?
$0.
See, that's remarkable, and that is literally, because for a lot of people, I'm tipping the demographic. Most people, like me, are not down with the Instagram thing, right? No. And it's a bit out of our demographic. But in terms of users, that's very silly because the user demographic is extraordinary. And I think what you're doing, you are literally translating, you're building a list at 100 plus people a day from just the link, the profile link that's attached to your Instagram account. And I can think of, people who are digital publishers. If you're if you've got a horse magazine, you could do inspirational horse photos and quotes. You could do you have somebody do those for you? Do you have somebody in-house do those, or do you plan? How do you build your little quotes? Because they're very good there. And I must say, and by the way, before we go any further, what is your Instagram, what do they call it? Call sign, username? Handle. I got it there. I got there in the end. What is your Instagram handle so people can have a look at your Instagram?
Founder Magazine.
Right, and spelt without the E, remember, people, because it's trendy and hip. But I must say, the quality of your pictures and your quote stuff is, like, again, top notch, just like your magazine.
Thank you.
Yeah, and is it the same designer that does all those? Have you got a different process, or you just...
different process. I try and keep my designer that does the magazine purely for the magazine and other branding collateral.
Yeah.
I've got a guy in the Philippines that I get him to do batches. So, like, I'll give him a Word document with 100 quotes, and I'll get him to do them for Facebook, Twitter, and the Facebook sizes are the same as the Instagram sizes. So I repurpose a lot of that content. So a lot of the content that we post on Instagram can actually be found on our other social media channels. And I use certain channels to test which are the most successful images. So if they get a good response on Facebook, I'll most likely put them on our Instagram. So that's one way I get those quotes and have, we've got hundreds of them, and I just repurpose them. And then another way is I get my girlfriend to create them for me. You can use this app called WordSwag, and you can churn out some really nice, professional looking stuff, and you obviously just put in your watermark, and it looks great. And then another thing I do is and this comes back to a strategy when it comes to growth, is we do a lot of things called share for shares, S for S, where we get other related accounts to repost our photo, and then we will repost their photo, and that actually really helps fuel the growth of your page. So a lot of the content isn't always ours, it's other people's as well.